Hello, welcome to Pettis Remodeling. Today we're building our assembly table. It's going to be 4 feet long, 2 feet wide, using 1 sheet of 3/4 plywood. We're going to be using our circular saw and our track guide, which we built in our previous video. So if you haven't watched that, be sure to click on the link in the description that will take you there. Let's get to work. Two tips if you're beginning woodworking. First, always account for your big pieces first, especially when you're working with a limited amount of material, which is what we're doing here. So our tops and our bottom shelf are going to be 2 feet by 4 feet, 4 foot by 4 foot, both. So I'm going to cut this right in half at 48 inches and put that aside, and then I'll work for the rest of the parts of the bench. It's going to be on that 4 foot by 4 foot. And again, the big pieces first and then the small pieces last. The second thing we want to always use, good practice, a good habit, is always use your same one measuring tool. Don't be switching between one tape and another tape and another tape. If you use 3 instruments in the same workpiece, that may result in measurements not exactly true to each other, even if you're measuring the same thing. Again, for good practice, just use the same instrument, and that's what we're going to do here. Today I'm using my tape here, and that's the one that we're going to use throughout the whole project. And most importantly, always use your glasses, your goggles, safety goggles. I'm now cutting the 4 long pieces that I'm going to need to make the long parts of the shelves, both the top and the bottom. 4 pieces, 4 long pieces, at 3 inches wide each. After cutting my 4 long stretchers for the shelves, I'm now going to move on to cutting the legs, and those are going to be 32.5. So I'm going to cut that from the factory edge, 32.5 from the 48. That's going to leave me enough space to do the short sections for the shelves. Again, 32.5 is going to be the length for my legs. Okay, the length of my legs going to be 32 and a half. So now I'm going to cut them at 4 inches wide. After having all my 8 pieces for my legs cut off, I'm going to go back to the small portion of the plywood that I have left over from that 4x4 that I've been cutting down. I'm going to cut that section down to 21 inches long. After having all my pieces cut down for my components of the table, I'm now going to cut both tops. One of them is going to be 24 and a half by 48, and the other one is going to be 23 by 46 and a half. Okay, once we have all our parts cut out, we should have 2 large sections. One is a 24 and a half by 48, and then the other one is 23 by 46 and a half. That's going to be, the big one, of course, is going to be for the top of the table. Then the second one is going to be for that bottom shelf. We're going to need 4 stretchers at 46 and a half by 3 inches wide. And we're going to have 4 small stretchers at 21 and a half by 3. And of course, the legs are going to be made up of these 8 pieces that are 32 and a half long and 4 inches wide. Let's go ahead and begin our assembly process by building our legs first. What we're going to do is we're going to butt joint these like so, using glue and brat nails. If you don't have brat nails or you don't have a nail gun, you could use screws. I would recommend that you drill pilot holes first and then drive your screws so that you don't split the board. Okay, great. Once we have our legs done, we're going to go ahead and start with the shelves. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to build the frames for the table. So again, the frames for the shelves. First, I am going to attach the shelf or the bottom board of the shelf together to make it easier for assembly. And then the top is going to be applied after the table is built. So again, I'm going to start building the shelves. The small stretchers are going to go inside the long stretchers. You'll see what I mean in a bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus in one corner and then focus one edge and then just shift the box underneath so that it fits underneath perfectly underneath the top. Once our first shelf is done, we build the second frame. And once that's done, we're not going to put the lid just yet or the top just yet. We're actually going to start building upside down. So this is on our table, and then we're going to grab our legs and we're going to start fastening our legs. The strength comes from the wood glue, and having such big gluing surface area allows us to, or allows for this piece to actually be stronger. And that's all we're going to do. From the leftover scrap that I had, I went ahead and I cut these 4 equal parts in length. Not necessarily, the width doesn't really matter. It's just the length that we're going for. And what I'm going to use this for is going to be as spacers to help me keep that shelf at the same distance all the way around. It doesn't matter which side of the leg I put it on, so long as it goes against one corner. Once I have my spacers in place, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to grab my shelf and put it upside down. Okay, looks like it's going to fit just right. And now I'm going to mark my glue marks. Once we have our bottom shelf attached to our legs and to the top frame, we'll flip it over and then we'll attach the top, and we're almost done. And to attach the top, again, glue and nails. I applied glue to the base of the top, and then I placed the top over it. And the same thing as I did for the bottom shelf, I'm going to fasten one corner, and then I'm going to line up the other corner, and so on. Well, what do you think of the table? It's a great height, great dimensions, good to work. It's not too heavy, weighs as much as 1 3/4 sheet of plywood, and it's sturdy. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing to the channel, and hit that notification bell for the next build. This table is definitely going to come in handy if you're building along with my videos. Until next time, take care. God bless you.